Truth over fear, and the truth will set you free. I want to talk about the cube, which is the symbol of Saturn, and that symbol, how it was used in religious context with Saturn, and also how through symbolic manipulation, our consciousness is being held captive, in bondage, enslaved, without having the ability to think outside the box. And by who? Of course, the Jesuits that hold all the knowledge that we seek. Um, you know, there's always those questions of, why are we here? Where did we come from? And what's our purpose? But definitely not our purpose to be enslaved and trapped inside of a cube, in this three-dimensional spatial matrix, if you will. So let's get into it. So I want to read this to you guys. It says, "What is believed was created to be believed." You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so injured, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect this system. And a lot of this has to do with religion and Christianity, of course the Society of Jesus, who orchestrates all these accounts. But these Abrahamic cults are clearly Saturn demigod cults. And if you've studied the Epic of Gilgamesh, the ancient Sumerian accounts on cuneiform tablets, and I did a video about this, about the Anunnaki. It was called "Is Humanity a Slave Race?" But they did give me a strike for that video, and they deleted it. But in these Sumerian tablets, which predate the Bible, but it's also, these accounts are also in Genesis. But in the story of creation, ancient Sumerian text, there were demigods that went into the women of the earth, and procreated with the women of the earth. And it was the Anunnaki that went into the women of the earth, but they created these demigods, which felt that they were of higher rank because they had more god DNA than the human hybrid. So they were left on the earth to rule over and manage the human race, to keep them in order, and to have them continue to do what it was that the Anunnaki wanted them to do. In that story, it was about mining gold. And obviously there's some type of obsession with human beings and gold. I mean, we really don't know what gold is. Really has no intrinsic value, but we do value it, we wear it. But that's for another topic. Like I said, I did another video on that. But anyways, these demigods are, were put into place as, rulers, kings, and what you would call the elite today, or royal bloodlines. And this is their occulted knowledge. This is how they keep everybody in boxes, captive, to control them. And that's what they were left here to do, was to rule over and to control spirit and consciousness. These four symbols, the cross, the star tetrahedron, the hexagon, the black cube, it's all the same representation of the most important one, the star tetrahedron. And you can see that one where the cube is actually inside that symbol, which is also they call it the Star of David. But it represents the energetic and geometric human body, male and female, heaven and earth, also called Merkaba or Merkaba. Merkaba is an Egyptian word. The word Mer is translated into light. Ka refers to the spirit, while Ba refers to the body, or physical being. It is made of 4 perfect triangles, a shape that symbolizes unity, and is regarded as the strongest shape. Its vibration is connected to awakening and manifestation. No matter how a tetrahedron is rotated, there's always one corner that strongly points to the sky. It's also known as Metatron or Metatron's cube. And keep in mind, this is all ancient Jewish mysticism, but Metatron's cube is a mystical 3-dimension cube used by Archangel Metatron to watch over the flow of energy, connecting Earth and the divine. Contains all five platonic solids hidden inside, symbolizing the underlying patterns of our universe. And unfortunately, this occulted knowledge can be used to, free our spiritual essence. But that's why it's occulted, because they don't want us to reach that highest point of consciousness. And sadly, the cube is represented as a prison to keep the spiritual essence in bondage. So heaven is represented in 2 dimensions by the circle, 3 dimensions by the sphere, and the earth is represented by the square, and 3 dimensions by the cube. Here, heaven refers to the universal principle of consciousness, and earth refers primarily to 3-dimensional spatial matrix where individual impulses of the spirit are given apparent material forms. The symbol of the cube represents the reality we experience as the material world. In Freemasonry, the circular compass in the square and compass represents heaven and higher consciousness, with the square representing earth and lower consciousness. So, and of course, we know the Freemasons use this knowledge for enlightenment, but is kept from the masses. The cube is a reference to the synthetic reality that has been imposed on creatures of the physical plane of existence. It's very much the matrix that is used to bind spirit and consciousness. And of course, bind spirit equals 69. Bind consciousness equals 69. Just like the Jesuit order equals 69. Star tetrahedron equals 69. Just like Saturn equals 69. Star tetrahedron equals 93 as well. And Saturn equals 93. And, they love that number, 93. Just like they tell us that the sun is 93 million miles away. The cube is also associated with the horned deity Baphomet. In 1856, Eliphas Levi drew the first image of Baphomet that took the form of a hermaphrodite, half human, half goat, which was adopted by the 1910 Devil Tarot card. His drawing showed Baphomet perched on top of a black cube. In the Eliphas-inspired 1910 Devil Tarot card, 2 people are shown chained to the black cube, with Baphomet authoritatively perched on top. This carries on with the theme of the black cube being a form of imprisonment. Interestingly, the Greco-Roman goddess Aegisthus was a hermaphrodite, and her Phrygian counterpart was the goddess Cybele, whose name is etymologically connected to the word cube. This may give us a clue as to Baphomet's identity. Both Aegisthus and Baphomet are hermaphrodites, and both are tangentially associated with cubes. Aegisthus is assumed by some to be interchangeable with the goddess Isis. So, Baphomet is their god, and, is the god that they worship. And there you can see in the Devil Tarot card, the male, female human beings chained to the black cube that Baphomet sits atop. So, according to the book The Cult of the Black Cube by Arthur Murrows, the Black Saturn cube represents a prison dimension. Carrying on with this theme of the cube being a form of imprisonment, in the Bank of America, there exists a mural showing a woman seemingly imprisoned in a cube, while tethered to what appears to be the black sun. Quote from the Vigilant Citizen: a strange feature of the painting is that the woman is apparently trapped inside a transparent cube hanging from threads. Does she represent the common man stuck in the confines of the material world, occultly represented by the cube? And I found the mural that's inside that Bank of America, but you know, why would they have that? Well, why would they need to put that in a Bank of America? And there's the woman, in the cube, you know, strapped to the black sun, and that's what they worship, the black sun. So very interesting. Saturn equals 93, 21, 69, and 42. Like Jesuit equals 42 and 21. Saturn worship equals 78 like Jesuit. And it also equals 201 like the Jesuit order. Saturn also equals 69 like the Jesuit order. And also like Jewish mysticism equals 69 like the Jesuit order. Jewish mysticism also equals 201 like Jesuit order, and 93 like Saturn. So very obvious that the Jesuits control all this, continue to do so, but and that's who they worship. They worship Saturn and Baphomet, highly skilled in Jewish mysticism and occulted knowledge, that they keep from us to continue to enslave us, again, keep our consciousness and spirit captive. And they bombard us with this. You're literally trapped inside of this, square, if you will, because, they got all these symbols and sigils that they use. These are their signs of allegiance that, you see every day. It goes right into the subconscious mind, which is, how you're manifesting your own slavery. But, signs of allegiance, the compass and square, the cube, the rising sun, the canted square, the 47th proposition of Euclid, the oblong square, the Templars, Hebrew and the tarot, and the pentagram. And keep in mind, the Jesuits are, the Templars. That's the new version. And they continue to bombard us with all their bullshit and their false illusion. And the Vatican worships Satan. False illusion 55. Satan 55.
They worship Saturn. That's what Satan is, just Saturn in the Bible. And we talking about the Vatican and all of them. They worship Satan. And that's Saturn. Gentiles are not Jews, but when you think about it, Jews come from the Judah. So even the people who think they Israelites, yeah, you still of that because you're born in one of those zodiacs. So you still of that, but you taking it literally, and you're not supposed to take it literally. Even in the Bible, it says these are allegory. You know what an allegory is? It's a made-up story that got a deeper meaning. The Vatican worships Saturn. The Vatican worships Dagon, a fish god. And it goes back to, if you ever know anything about the Assyrians and the Sumerians, and if you know anything about that, Dagon was this fish god. And the Vatican, you gotta always look at things with knowing that they have a deeper meaning. Like I spend every day studying this stuff. Even from the robes that they wear, them black robes in the churches, you see I forgot what they call, but you see the priests and stuff wearing them black robes. Those robes represent Saturn. They'll never tell you this. And I ain't finna even get really too deep into all that. I'm just touching on it a little bit to give people, a little awareness so they can go do some researching themselves.
Okay, so just had to throw that in there. That was Chingy, and he was talking about the Vatican worships Saturn, aka Satan. But there is a way out, And that's why I brought this video to you guys, because it's important to know how to escape the cube. And it was beautifully depicted in the allegorical story of God's Son, or Jesus Christ. How Jesus defeated the cube, or death, in the physical world, and ascended into heaven. And like Chingy was saying, religion takes everything in a literal sense, but they never look at the symbolic meanings of these allegorical stories. And obviously, the ones who put this information out there, don't want you to know the symbolism within the Bible. They just want you to believe what has been created to be believed. But, Jesus ascended into heaven, into a higher consciousness, and broke out of the box, basically defeated the cube, the prison, the illusion, the false reality, by reaching Christ's consciousness and achieving the 52 gates of light. And so there is hope to escape. And this example here explains it very well. It shows the fully open box at number 1, and then you get to 6, and it's, the cube, which our consciousness and spiritual essence is trapped inside of. But how these dark occult priest class, they worship Saturn, Satan, what have you, but they always have to invert things. So in reality, we start out where Christ ended up, which was ascending into heaven, into Christ consciousness. We start there, but we're here now, inverted into the cube, enslaved in that cube. So we got to get back to where we started from, which is Christ consciousness, or that, collective consciousness. Then, you're put into this physical 3D dimension in this body, and you start out at number 6 in the cube of the false illusion. And that's why you'll always see Jesus depicted on a cross, because he defeated the cube. He broke out of the cube, symbolically, allegorically, and reached Christ consciousness, broke out of the bondage that, we're trapped in, and defeated Satan, or Saturn's cube, which Saturn is Satan, symbolically. And trapped in the cube equals 77. Cube equals 77. Consciousness equals 77. Christ equals 77. Low consciousness box equals 77. Jesus also equals 61. Solar deity equals 61. And defeated the box equals 61. And gematria solidifies it, reinforces it, but we still have to take action to do it. And the only way to do it is to acknowledge that our consciousness is being held captive, and then, work towards, purifying our consciousness, our thoughts, emotion, and actions through God's moral law or natural law. So in ancient numerological systems, the number 666 was chosen to represent humanity in a state of low consciousness. This represents the beast, or antichrist mentality. 777 traditionally represented humanity embodying a higher level consciousness, Christ consciousness. That is, being in the world but not of the world. The word Christ is actually derived from the Greek word Christos, meaning morally good, virtuous, and holy. 888 represented the threefold infinity, the creator, natural law, perfection, and the absolute. Humanity cannot be the 888, for there is no such thing as perfection in the flesh. But we can become 777 when we work upon ourselves and purify our thoughts, emotions, and actions, which would be aligning ourselves to God's natural law. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe, and remember, the truth is simple. It's the lies that get complicated.